Hi, friends. Today I want to share a new story with you. I hope you enjoy it. The bank's heavy glass doors closed behind me with a soft hiss, trapping me in a quiet place filled with shiny wood and cold stares. My heart pounded as my worn-out boots tapped across the spotless floor toward Fletcher Montgomery's desk. Fletcher looked up from his tablet, glancing at me like I was something unpleasant stuck to his expensive shoes. "Mr. Chambers," he said slowly, leaning back in his fancy leather chair. "What brings you here?" "I'm here to talk about my loan application," I replied, placing my carefully prepared business plan on his desk. He didn't touch it. Instead, he folded his hands, his perfectly clean nails catching the light. "Ah, yes, the farmer." His mouth twisted in a half-smile, half-frown. "I run a microgreens farm," I said, sliding the folder closer. "We've been supplying local restaurants for 3 years. I need a loan to grow the business because demand is higher than what I can supply." At last, Fletcher picked up the folder, but it was clear he didn't like what he saw. He flipped through the pages slowly and then dropped it back on the desk like it bored him. "Microgreens," he said like the word tasted bad. "That's a very small market. And you're asking for," he glanced at the paper, $150,000. That's bold for someone without much to offer. "My business has grown steadily," I said, trying to stay calm even though I was getting angry. I included financial reports, future plans, and interest letters from buyers. "Everything's in there." Fletcher sighed loudly. "Let's be honest, Mr. Chambers. You're a small farmer. These numbers," he tapped the folder, "are hopeful, not solid. And your collateral isn't great." I clenched my fists under the desk. "Everything I have is in that farm. I built it myself, and these numbers are real." Fletcher leaned closer, his face cold. "What I see is an old truck outside and dirt under your fingernails. That may work on a farm, but not in this bank." His words hit hard. Before I could speak, he grabbed the folder, ripped it in half, and threw it in the trash. "I'm denying your loan. No need to waste more time. Consider this official." I froze. "You can't do that without a proper review," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "I just did." He stood up, ending the meeting. "Come back when you have something worth our time. Good day, Mr. Chambers." I stood still as he walked out of the room. The buzzing from the air conditioning suddenly felt loud. Back in my truck, the shame and anger burned inside me. His cruel words echoed in my head. I looked at the crumpled copy of my application on the seat beside me. This wasn't the end. The sting of rejection hurt, but it also lit a fire inside me. The farmhouse was quiet when I got back, the late sun casting long shadows across the fields. I parked my truck beside the barn, its old metal door groaning as I stepped out. The crumpled rejection letter still sat on the passenger seat, but I didn't have the heart to pick it up. I walked to the greenhouse. Neat rows of microgreens stretched out before me, each tiny leaf proof of years of hard work and careful planning. Fletcher's voice still rang in my ears. "Your reality is dirt under your nails." "Grayson," a voice called out. I turned to see Didas pulling up in his car, which looked completely out of place on my dusty driveway. My old boss had a way of showing up just when I needed someone to talk to. "Doug," I said, trying to hide my frustration. "What brings you out here?" "I heard about your loan meeting," he said, frowning. "Did it go well?" I gave a dry laugh and kicked at the dirt. "Not at all. Fletcher tore up my business plan, called me a small-time farmer, and told me to leave." Doug's face tightened. "He did what?" "He ripped it up in front of me. Said my truck and dirty hands weren't good enough for their bank." "Unbelievable," Doug muttered, running a hand through his gray hair. "I recommended you to that bank because I thought they'd see your potential." I guess I was wrong. I leaned against the fence, gripping it so hard my knuckles turned white. "I don't know what to do, Doug. The farm's at a breaking point. Without that loan, I can't grow. My dream, everything I've built, it might fall apart." Doug looked at me seriously, then pulled out his phone. "We're not going to let one arrogant banker destroy everything. I'll call someone higher up, even the bank's president, if I need to." "You'd really do that?" "I owe you, Grayson." Don't forget who helped save our sinking IT department 10 years ago, he said with a grin. Besides, Fletcher's known for being a jerk. Let's see how he handles pressure from above. I nodded, feeling a small spark of hope. But deep down, doubt still lingered. This wasn't just about Fletcher, it was about proving I belonged in a world that kept shutting its doors on me. As Doug walked back to his car, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. You think you can outsmart me? Don't push your luck, farmer. Chills ran down my spine. My grip on the phone tightened as I stared at the message. I paced the barn floor, the glow from the screen lighting Fletcher's threatening words. The nerve of him filled me with anger, but I couldn't ignore the real risk behind the threat. A knock on the barn door made me jump. I grabbed the closest thing I could find, a rusty wrench, and walked toward the door carefully. It was late, and surprise visitors were rare. "Grayson, it's Clara," came a calm but clear voice from outside. I let out a breath and set the wrench down before opening the door. Clara Marshall stood there, local journalist and an old friend. She held her usual notebook and gave me a look that said she already knew something was wrong. "What are you doing here this late?" I asked, stepping aside. "I heard something at the bank today," she said, stepping in and closing the door. "And I think you need to know about it." Her words made me curious, but the serious tone in her voice made me nervous. "What did you hear?" She flipped through her notebook, full of scribbled notes. "I was at the bank covering their new loan program. I overheard Fletcher talking on the phone. He mentioned your name." "What exactly did he say?" She paused, then read from her notes. He said, "Grayson Chambers thinks he's going to succeed with that pathetic farm of his. I'll make sure he regrets ever walking into my office." I clenched my fists. So, this wasn't just a rejection. He's out to destroy me. "Looks that way," she said, looking up. "Grayson, this is more than business. Fletcher's making it personal. You need to be careful." I gave a bitter laugh. "Careful? I've played it safe all along, and look where that's gotten me. Right on the edge of losing everything." Clara stepped closer, her voice lowering. "That's why I'm here. I want to help. If Fletcher is abusing his position, people need to know." "You think writing a story will fix this?" I asked, my voice full of doubt. "It's not just a story, Grayson. It's exposure. People here respect you. If they knew what Fletcher was doing, he'd lose more than just his reputation." Her words hung in the air, tempting but dangerous. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. I looked at the screen. Another message, this time with a photo attached. It was a picture of my farm, taken from the road. The message made my stomach drop. "Nice place. Shame if something happened to it." Clara saw my reaction. "What is it?" I showed her the message. Her face hardened, and she snapped her notebook shut. "This isn't just about your farm anymore. Fletcher's crossing a line." I nodded, feeling the weight of the situation. "If you're serious about helping, Clara, we need to move fast. Fletcher isn't someone who plays fair." "Neither am I," she said, a determined look on her face. "Let's take him down." The morning dew clung to the grass as I loaded crates of microgreens into my truck. My mind kept replaying Clara's warning and the threatening message from Fletcher. Every sound, the wind in the trees, the call of a bird, felt like it was signaling trouble. I couldn't shake the feeling that my farm was being watched. The creak of the gate made me spin around, heart racing. Clara was walking toward me, holding a thick folder. "I dug deeper," she said, handing it to me. "Look at this." I flipped through the pages, my brow furrowing. These loans, they're for his friends. Business expansions, luxury cars, even a boat. "Exactly," Clara said, her voice urgent. "He's approving ridiculous loans for people he knows, while turning down real applicants like you. If we expose this, we can take him down." Before I could respond, the roar of a car engine echoed up the driveway. I froze, recognizing the black sedan from Fletcher's office. "Stay here," I said, my heart pounding. The car door slammed, and Fletcher stepped out, his smug grin twisting my gut. "Morning, Chambers," he said with a sneer. "What do you want, Fletcher?" I asked, stepping in front of Clara to block his view of her. Oh, just a friendly visit, he said, glancing at the crates in my truck. You seem busy for someone who's been turned down by every bank in town. I clenched my fists. Cut to the chase. His smile disappeared, replaced by a sneer. You're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Focus on your crops and forget about your little investigation. Or what? I challenged. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Or you'll see how quickly everything you've worked for can fall apart. Behind me, I heard Clara's phone click a photo. Fletcher noticed, his eyes narrowing. Is that your little journalist friend? He asked, his voice dripping with venom. You'd better leave, I said, my voice firm. Fletcher smirked, taking a step back. You've been warned, Chambers. Don't make me come back. As he drove off, Clara emerged from behind me, her phone in hand. We got him now, she said, showing me the photo of Fletcher looking menacing. But something didn't sit right in my stomach. His visit wasn't just a warning, it was a promise. Later that night, Clara and I sat in my small office, papers scattered across the desk. The folder she had given me was now filled with proof of Fletcher's corruption. But we still needed one key piece, a link to the people higher up. There was a sharp knock on the door. Clara grabbed her phone, ready to record, as I cautiously opened it. To my surprise, Douglas stood there, his face serious. Douglas, I said, stepping aside. I heard about Fletcher's visit, he said quietly. I had a feeling something bigger was going on, so I dug into it myself. He handed me a flash drive. This contains emails and transactions. Fletcher wasn't just approving loans for his friends. He's been hiding money in offshore accounts with help from someone above him. Clara leaned in. This could be it. We need to act fast before he finds out. Suddenly, a loud crash outside made us jump. I peeked out the window and saw Fletcher's car near the barn, his figure lit up by the truck's headlights. He's here, I whispered, my heart racing. What's he doing? Clara grabbed my arm. Grayson, we need to go. He's not here to talk. But I shook my head. No. This ends tonight. I stepped outside, leaving the door slightly open so Clara could record everything. Fletcher stood there, holding a crowbar, his eyes wild. You just couldn't leave it alone, could you? He snarled, walking toward me. Had to stick your nose where it didn't belong. You've already lost, Fletcher, I said, my voice steady even as adrenaline rushed through me. We've got proof. It's over. Proof, he laughed maniacally. You think anyone will believe a farmer over me? I stood firm. Dudas is here. The bank's president is about to see everything you've done. His face twisted with rage, and he lunged at me. Before he could reach me, Clara stepped out, her phone raised. It's all on video, Fletcher. You're done. Fletcher froze. The weight of what he had done hit him. He dropped the crowbar, the metal clanging against the ground, and turned to run. But Douglas stepped in his way. Not so fast, Duda said. The authorities are already on their way. The sound of sirens grew louder as Fletcher's shoulders slumped. He was arrested on the spot. The evidence we gathered was enough to take him down. As the police car drove away, Clara turned to me. You did it, Grayson. You stood up to him. And as I watched the sun rise the next day, I knew that things had changed. This was just the beginning of something new, something rooted in truth. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.